This is a CLEAResult's webinar for prescribing healthier homes, how healthcare and energy can work together for change, essentially the intersection of health and energy efficiency. A very exciting topic today. Just a quick look here at what we'll be walking you through. We'll be introducing you to our speakers, talking a bit about the challenge that the industry and end-use customers are facing, then hear from Wisconsin's Focus on Energy, as well as a CLEAResult approach to solving some of these issues. Get into a bit of the customer journey of resident experiences and some remediations, as well as using the power of analytics and partners to make this all a success, followed up by some QA. Our speakers here today are Scott Bladorn, who's project manager with the Wisconsin Focus on Energy program. Scott's been with the program for over 5 years and more than a decade of experience in the energy efficiency industry. Same goes for Todd Miles here at CLEAResult. Todd is our lead subject matter expert on healthier homes with over 14 years in the energy industry. And my name is Nick Shooter. I'm a product manager here at CLEAResult. All right, Todd.
Thanks, Nick. So before I kick it over to Scott, Dylan, and the program team at Focus on Energy, I just want to open with the idea of, I think when we think about doctors writing prescriptions, we tend to think about medicine. So a doctor writes a prescription, you go to the pharmacy, you get it filled, take 2, call me in the morning, that sort of thing. But for doctors who work with respiratory issues, and specifically asthma, which we'll focus on in this presentation, they know that medicine isn't the only prescription. Managing asthma care is the 4th leading cost in the United States. And the healthcare industry as a whole is focused now on preventative care and value-based care, as they call it, with really a trajectory that's been going up over the last 6 years. So when they write a prescription for medicine, that's one thing, but to really manage the care, you can imagine that they write a prescription for a healthy home. And that's why we're here. And the good news is, when they write that prescription, the things they want done in the home are the exact same things that we've been doing in our industry for over 30 years. So when my doctor gives me a prescription, and I can go to the pharmacy, but if there's this idea of getting a healthy home prescription, where does someone go? And the answer, I think, is CLEAResult and the programs we run with all of you on the phone as our partners. We have the ability to go in, treat the homes, and help manage that care. And as we'll talk about later, what it really means is there's significant savings on the healthcare side. So before I go on, I'll kick it over to Scott, where you can hear some of the details about the program we've been running, and then you'll hear back from me after he's done talking.
Yeah, well, thank you, Todd and Nick, for the introduction. As they said, I'm Scott Bladorn. I'm with Focus on Energy, actually with Aptum, and we're the program administrator for Focus on Energy. So if you're not familiar with Focus, we're a statewide energy efficiency and renewable energy program in Wisconsin, and we partner with 108 utilities across the state to run a statewide program. So Aptum, we are the program administrator, and we contract out the actual implementation of our programs. And so CLEAResult has been running a large portion of our residential portfolio for many years now. And so pretty much everything that's existing homes, like home performance, insulation, air sealing, HVAC, even solar, CLEAResult does all that stuff for Focus on Energy. So I'm also joined here today by Dylan Cray, and Dylan is here just in case I misspeak, or if I miss anything important, I hope Dylan will pipe up. He actually has been with us at the administrator for just a couple months now, but before that he was with CLEAResult and had a large hand in designing this and rolling it out. So he knows this stuff inside and out. So again, I'm encouraging Dylan to speak up if I should misspeak or miss something important. So why healthier homes? So there are a few reasons that that we kind of turned to this, and some things that maybe drove this. But reaching rural customers was a big part of it, and so this pilot is specifically geared towards rural customers. And we at Focus, we have a mandate to serve rural customers and to make sure that we have equitable treatment of customers across the state. So that's who we're targeting in this pilot. Then extending the reach of our program dollars. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of program folks on the phone here or on the webinar who know this, like you never have enough budget to go around and to do all the things you want. So one of the big draws of a program like this is that we might be able to partner with other, hospitals and other stakeholders and advocates to leverage some outside dollars. And we'll get a little bit more into that, I guess, later on. But I think if you're at all familiar with some of the other kind of healthier homes things that are going on around the country, there are a few different flavors, but that's one of the big draws, I think, from a programmatic standpoint, is being able to find other money to make our dollars go further and to be able to serve more customers. And then the societal benefits, obviously there are not a lot of, there are energy benefits to this because we're going to do our kind of home performance, our whole home performance stuff that we love to do in homes, but there's also many non-energy benefits, and it's not something we've always done a good job of capturing or really recording actively. So this is a way that we can kind of capture those and bring those non-energy benefits more to the forefront and prove them out. So last February, CLEAResult came to us and had put together this pilot, a proposal for a pilot, and yeah, we said, yeah, that sounds great. So so we've been running it since, well, I guess since last year. We utilized funds that we had set aside for rural customers because it fits the bill there. We're demonstrating, what we can do in deeper retrofits that maybe don't happen in some of our just regular home performance projects, because we're able to do more in these projects and get everything done that we'd like to see done on a home, which doesn't always happen. People will piecemeal their projects together and everything. So we can really control more of what's getting done. It also it connects us with doctors and hospitals, which is kind of an area we've not been in before. We haven't had this relationship that we have now with doctors and hospitals, and so this is a great door opening experience where now we're actually, for the first time that I'm aware of, where Focus is, in communication with doctors and hospitals in this manner. Obviously, we do efficiency things for hospitals, but never for the patients of hospitals. So this is it's a completely different thing, and so it's really opening up a lot of doors for us. Yeah, so we've got a few partners. I mentioned hospitals, also the Wisconsin Asthma Association and the Children's Health Alliance of Wisconsin. Obviously, they're very interested in asthma issues and children's health. So the Mayo Clinic and Gunderson Health are two hospitals that we specifically sought out partnerships with because of their location, partially because of their location, because they have a lot of rural area that they cover. And so it kind of kept a large enough customer pool that we'd be able to work with. And then also the Pacific Northwest National Lab, which has been a great partnership. They kind of turned us on to Air Visual Pro equipment, which is what we're using to actually monitor indoor air quality in the homes. And so we're able to actually show a difference. And so those go into every house, and they are helping us with that equipment and analyzing data and stuff like that. So that's been a great partnership as well. Yeah, so the patient referral process, so like I said, we're working directly with these hospitals and really specifically down to a doctor at each hospital, and they know their customers, obviously, or their patients. They probably don't call them customers, but so they will refer customers to us, and they know kind of what we're looking for as far as like rural customers and asthma issues and things. So they send us patients, a list of patients, and then we send those patients a health questionnaire, like a screener, so that we can just qualify them for the program and make sure that they are a fit for the program. So obviously, if we get into a house and we can do we do a healthy homes evaluation, we figure out kind of what is needed in the home, and from focus, from what we do normally, what we're used to is doing insulation, air sealing, ventilation, what you would normally consider like home performance kind of measures. But this has really opened it up to non-energy measures. So in projects we've done so far, that's included air purifiers, dehumidifiers. We've done plumbing repairs. I think we've done some rain gutters, so those things to alleviate moisture issues. We've like done dryer vents. We've given the customers hypoallergenic bedding. We've done carpet cleaning. There's a list of other things that we know we've already identified that we would do or consider doing in a home. So things that obviously we normally wouldn't do. And so we can contract with any number of trades, contractors to get this work done, trades that we maybe normally wouldn't work with in just our in our regular offerings. So that's also another door, a nice door opened. But like I said, we do the Healthy Homes evaluation. It's a it's a BPI certification. CLEAResult trained their own staff and a number of trade allies, a number of contractors to actually do these evaluations and do them right and get certified to do so. And then in the end, we've got some things that we can measure. So qualitative measures are the ACT. It's the asthma control test. So this is a test that basically somebody that suffers from asthma would fill this out and say just how bad is their asthma at that point in time. And then so that's pretty straightforward, as as well as like participant interviews to get a sense for what improvements they've seen. But then also quantitative measures. So like I mentioned, the Air Visual Pro, we've got actual data that shows what kind of changes we were able to make in the indoor quality in these homes. So that's in a data-driven world, that right there is it's really nice to be able to have that and not just be talking about anecdotal evidence. If we've got actual hard data that says here was an improvement and we did this. So yes, lessons learned. One lesson is that seasonality matters. Yeah, asthma is worse in the spring and summer months, and so if we ask somebody how their asthma is, or we give them that asthma control test in the winter time and they say, oh, my asthma is not so bad, and then we give it to them again in the summertime, it may actually appear to be worse even after we've done a retrofit, or it could go the other way and it appears to be better after a retrofit than it actually is. So we're kind of learning that we need to do more of these of this testing and to really get a better picture of what's actually working. So that can be a challenge. Yeah, hard to reach customers are hard to reach. That's goes without saying, but part of that is that so Focus on Energy, we get our funding from those 108 utilities that I mentioned. Some of those utilities are most of the utilities are electric utilities. Some of them are natural gas utilities, but those are the only types of utilities that we work with. And so if a customer heats with fuel oil or propane, then they are using a participating fuel, and so we're not able to serve those customers because they don't actually pay into the program. So that has made, that makes it challenging. The more rural the area, the more likely they are to have propane. So that has been something we've had to deal with. And healthier homes can sometimes involve behavior changes, which can be kind of a sticky subject. So, we can definitely say we are house experts, and we can tell someone without hesitation what is wrong with their house and how to fix that. But telling someone what's wrong with their behavior, I guess it requires more finesse, and it's maybe not our expertise. Again, we're house experts. We're not necessarily behavior experts. And some of these things like stopping smoking, that's maybe not too controversial, seems obvious, but still can be kind of difficult, a difficult conversation to have and a difficult thing to, actually implement. We can't just, it's not like, oh, we want to get an attic insulated, we insulate the attic and it's done, or a contractor insulates the attic and we pay them and it's done. If somebody has to quit smoking, it's a much harder thing to make happen. So, yeah. And then COVID-19, obviously everybody's been running into this for the last year. The doctors, it was hard to get a hold of the doctors and hard to keep them interested in what was going on, because obviously they had a lot of other things going on. But then also just getting in people's houses, and in a normal year, we would have wanted to have more people on hand, especially starting up and, checking out houses and making sure that, our healthy homes evaluators are kind of doing things as we want them and be able to be there to help out. But a lot of that has been just difficult, obviously, for obvious reasons. So I'll leave it at that. Successes, yeah. So we've proven thus far that it can be done. We've got more work to do. I think but it's a good sign, after, well, not really a year in the field, but after a year of working on this, there's a lot of excitement, and we're continuing this. So we originally contracted to do this just in 2020. We're continuing this into 2021. I see this as continuing on in some form or another. It's going to continue to evolve probably, but I think we've got a good baseline for how this is going to work and what it's going to look like. Yeah, we still got some things to learn about, like what balance can we strike between doing the our energy things, because that's really what that's what we're tasked with. This focus is saving energy, but that probably doesn't matter to a healthcare provider, and so but they have their own priorities, and just making sure that all of our priorities line up, or everybody can kind of have their priorities heard. But people are interested. I'm definitely, you'll find a lot of people interested once you start down this path, and it's I think it's important work. It's been overlooked in a lot of ways, and probably a lot of doctors can understand the need for some of this, like retrofits, like looking at what's actually going on in the house and what's contributing to asthma, but they haven't had a way. They can't write, like Todd said earlier, your doctor can write you a prescription for the pill to take care of whatever, but currently, in most places, they can't write you a prescription to have your house looked at and fixed. So that's really great. I think there's just a lot of excitement about this, and as we can expand it, I think there's just going to be more. We're just going to have more interest and more people that want to be a part of this. Future expansion. Yeah, so we've got some good partnerships started. Those are with some larger hospitals, so that's a great place to start. We'd like to bring in non-rural customers to this as well and expand this out, because there are plenty of rural customers in the state, but as I mentioned, some of them are hard to get to, and we can't even serve them because they're not eligible for Focus on Energy. But in non-rural areas, there are a lot more people, and there's just a lot of opportunities and there's more doctors, there are more partnering organizations, there's a lot to be offered there. So I think we'd like to expand out with that, and that'll be really helpful in making things kind of progress faster, because we'll have just more availability for partnerships and things. And then the hospital, so community benefit funds. So any nonprofit hospital will have a community benefits fund, and these we see as a really great opportunity because they have these funds that their mission to spend those funds on very well lines up with what we're trying to do here. So those are a really good possibility for us, getting more funds so that we're not paying for the entirety of a retrofit in a house. If we can get part of it or even all of it, depending on how many different organizations or advocates are pitching in, we can just make our dollars go a lot further. And then addressing the social kind of parts of this, low-income customers are not necessarily like a target of this directly, but we know that a lot of low-income customers tend to have higher rates of asthma and other health issues. So we can address some of that directly with these non-energy benefit interventions, but also then indirectly by helping them lower their utility burden and their utility bills, and freeing up some of that monthly income. So that's just another nice piece to this that also helps us kind of sell this idea to other organizations that might want to partner up with us on this.
So that was great, and I think you heard a lot of detail from Scott there. What I want to talk about for a second before we jump back in is the big picture. So let me sort of continue along the path before about managing care. So this preventative model, this value-based care, the dollars are flowing and the incentives are flowing to healthcare to really focus on that. And with asthma, the clear example that I think you heard Scott mention is if your care is out of control, or your ability to manage it's out of control, you can end up in the emergency room. So when you think about an emergency room visit, not only is it harmful to the person, of course, and we want them to have a much more better experience as an asthma patient, but it's expensive. So it's really not that different than how we as energy efficiency, our value proposition, which is to say, let us get in there before so that that visit to the emergency room never happens. And that's where the cost savings is. So what we're doing right now, and what Wisconsin's program is proving out, is that if we build it, they will come. Like we have this program set up, we were able to bridge gaps to healthcare and doctors. And every time we had a conversation with them, they said, yeah, of course I would refer my patients to a program where they can get all these good things. And now working with the Mayo Clinic, we're early in the conversations, but it looks like there's a path to sustainable partnership. And that's really what I think the main takeaway here is that if you can spin up the program and show healthcare that not only is it a good idea, but we actually do it, then the dollars may flow directly from that, where healthcare dollars would have healthcare outcomes, while our energy efficiency funds continue the energy efficiency outcomes. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we do that at CLEAResult, and honestly, it's not much different than what Scott described. The Wisconsin program hits all the elements of what we do, but any solution we offer doesn't need to. It's really quite customizable to whatever we're doing. But as I mentioned, it's the work we've been doing as an industry for 30 years. So why not just think of it as sort of the energy work plus health? And so what you heard from the Focus on Energy example is it starts with outreach, with working with doctors directly where they refer patients to us. But that's not the only method for participation. The key is that we have a questionnaire and homepage that explains the program benefits. And so customers can come in, or patients, from various avenues within your program. And they fill out the questionnaire to see if they have asthma symptoms in the house, and then also energy questions. And for those of you wondering, we've had it vetted. There's no HIPAA or possibility of HIPAA violations in the questions we ask. We ask them in just such a way where that won't be an issue. So we find these patients through this website, and then they enter our typical flow. We're going to do some sort of assessment, and we'll tell you about it, the other details more. But the BPI piece, Scott mentioned, we're able to train up virtually or in person staff and program partners in BPI, and whether or not that's an important certification for your program, it's a good training, and you can decide whether it's worth the certification itself. And so again, that's that plus health element. The same people who have been going in to do assessments in your program now go in with that added element of the health assessment, and then the measures which you've heard about, and then I'll talk about that indoor air quality monitor as well. So we've talked a lot about the doctors, and I think, again, the path that we followed in Wisconsin is working with asthma coalitions. They know these doctors, and working and focusing on pediatricians and allergists working with children. So those are two key points I want to point out. What that means is that these asthma coalitions have the connections, and because we have something that's good and people want, as they should, it really opens doors rather than closes them. So we're launching the program in Michigan as we speak. We have a conversation with Spectrum Health next week. So the model continues, which is that, again, if we can get them, we can find these healthcare organizations and they're ready to talk to us. And then the other piece about pediatricians is that I think we all know doctors care about their patients, but pediatricians especially are incredible advocates for their patients. So not only would they be interested, they're able to prioritize this sort of offering because they know what a difference it can make. And then the remediations, I think it's important to call out that less can be more as well. So if you imagine somebody has asthma, the doctor sends them over to fill out the questionnaire. They fill it out. We say, oh, look, there's asthma in the house. And then we go and we insulate and weatherize and put in ventilation to ASHRAE 62.2 and make sure there's no moisture issues. And that's it. That's healthier homes because we're improving indoor air quality. We're controlling environmental triggers. We're doing incredible benefit for the people who live there. These other added elements are excellent as well, but they're not necessarily have to be done in every single home. And it's going to matter on the local realities as well as the available trades in a given place. And we understand that. And that's just part of the design each time we build it. So the AirVisual Pro, so this is sort of the last piece I want to emphasize. There's a chicken and egg moment, or there has been for a long time, where we say, hey, we want to do this good work. We know that it's going to help people who have asthma. Let us in, we'll go do it. And maybe your regulatory market says, yeah, that sounds great. I'm sure it's true, but I need proof. What data do you have? And you go, well, to get the data, I need to go do it. And of course, we can't do it until we have the data, and the cycle continues. So not only are we sort of bucking that trend by getting in and just going ahead and sort of proving ourselves through our operations, but also with Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, the data we collect at CLEAResult is going to be aggregated. So it's really a pretty exciting opportunity to take the pre and post retrofit data and contribute to the larger science of the work. So each home we go to then is sort of bigger than itself, and that's something I know personally I'm very excited about, and hence the race to get in as many homes as we can, just so we can come out the other side with a data set that's really meaningful. So thinking about the customer journey, I think what you'll notice for any of you involved in programs, it's not that different than what you've seen, and that's kind of the point. The key point is the doctors referring patients in, but also reminding you that patients can come from various places as long as they sort of pass through that questionnaire so we know how to treat them. And then the home treatments are the same, the QA/QC is the same, and then the added benefit of these indoor air quality monitors I just mentioned, and the ability to sort of contribute to a larger aggregate data set and contribute to the overall science. Local realities are different. Your programs are all different. We know that. And so CLEAResult, Wisconsin's Focus on Energy program is a good example. We did direct service work. We partnered with our trade allies there in low income programs where we'll be rolling this out. We can partner workforce development with agencies. There are many different actors at different points in the workflow. The good thing about CLEAResult is we're very happy to offer the services directly or partner with those who are already there. And that's very important. And sort of one of the benefits is that we can, again, sort of do the full kit and caboodle or overlay our services with what's existing. And a part of that too, in terms of our services, is our analytics team. It's important when we talk about social determinants of health, is realizing where those who are affected most, where they are, so that we can help them. And so our data analytics team is ready to sort of target customers based on a whole host of metrics so that when we come in to offer this service, we're targeting the right customers that you need to reach, whether it be hard to reach customers, those who haven't been serviced previously, or even places where ground air pollution is known to be higher and hence the prevalence of asthma would be higher. And so it's an exciting piece to what we're doing in that, by targeting, of course, our impact becomes much greater. So I'll close with this. I think in thinking about healthier homes, the value proposition is interesting. I don't think any of us really question the value to the customer or the patient, right? And I think all of us enjoy the idea of being able to help homes and make indoor air more comfortable and help somebody with asthma, especially a child, manage their care. I don't really doubt any of us want to do that. And I will say for the utility side, it's a great story to tell. And CLEAResult's here to help tell it. And it's important not only to tell it to customers, but to regulatory bodies who are looking for the societal benefits of what we do and who are increasingly paying attention to energy equity and other forms of equity, as we've all seen. And then I will end thinking about healthcare agencies. Again, there is a cost to asthma care that we can directly address. And what we've seen and what I think we'll continue to see is that if we can address that cost directly, the value proposition is abundantly clear to them. And they'll be ready to create these sustaining partnerships with our efficiency programs. And once we have a bigger pool to play with, the biggest piece is those customers and those patients again, we have a much bigger chance for a much bigger impact. And that's why, Scott, Dylan, Andy, myself, that's why we're so excited about being able to do this in people's homes.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Scott, for walking through all this good stuff. Thanks again, everyone, for attending. Appreciate your time today. Have a great and safe week. We'll be back next month with a topic on electric vehicles transportation.